Background info of water scarcity in the northeast of US. Since the 1980s, drier than normal conditions have become more frequent and long lasting. These prolonged droughts have caused significant economic impacts. The USDA reports that drought is the leading cause of weather related crop loss in the northeast. Major rivers in the region have dropped to their lowest levels. Background info of water resources in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is one of the most freshwater rich states in the Northeast. 86,000 miles of streams and rivers, 4,000 lakes, and six major watersheds. Forested lands are key in maintaining water abundance. These resources support clean water availability for everyone. Background of water insecurity issues in Pennsylvania. Growing water insecurity is occurring in the state. Most predominantly is the groundwater quality. 18 public water suppliers in Pennsylvania have reported water shortages. Another main factor is the fracking. Fracking permanently removes the water from the water cycle by locking it either deep underground or just contaminating it overall.
Water scarcity starts with population growth. More people means more water for drinking, sanitation, farming, and industry. Rapid growth in developing countries adds even more pressure. Economic development is another factor. Factories, cities, and energy production all need water, and as economies expand, so does consumption. Climate change makes things worse by changing rainfall patterns and river flows. Some regions get drier while extreme events like droughts and floods become more common. And on top of that, water is often used inefficiently. Agriculture relies on outdated irrigation systems, and cities and industries waste water because recycling and infrastructure are poor. Finally, water availability isn't consistent. Some areas have plenty during rainy seasons but face shortages later. And even when water exists, limited infrastructure like reservoirs and storage means it's not always accessible. Beyond these causes, there are serious challenges. Global water models show that even under optimistic assumptions, scarcity will keep increasing. Shared rivers like the Nile create transboundary conflicts. Countries compete for water because there's little trust and few cooperative agreements. Weak governance and fragmented institutions make management harder. Political instability and poor enforcement of water policies lead to mismanagement. Groundwater is another issue. Excessive pumping to meet demand depletes aquifers, especially during dry seasons or droughts. Planning is also difficult because of limited data and poor monitoring systems. Without accurate information, forecasting and managing resources is a challenge. Lastly, environmental degradation and pollution reduce water quality. Chemicals, sewage, and industrial waste contaminate rivers and groundwater, and ecosystems like wetlands lose their ability to store and filter water naturally. All these factors combine to create a global water crisis. Scarcity doesn't just mean less water, it affects drinking, supplies, farming, and industry. It puts stress on communities and economies and sets the stage for serious impact. Next, we'll look at what those effects are and why they matter.
Effects of water scarcity. The first effect is health impacts. Lack of clean water leads to waterborne diseases such as cholera, dysentery, and typhoid. Poor hygiene due to insufficient water causes skin and eye infections. Dehydration and malnutrition become common, especially in children. The second effect is agricultural effects. Reduced crop yields because of limited irrigation water, livestock deaths due to shortage of drinking water, and water scarcity leads to food shortages and raising food prices. The third effect is economic consequences. Agricultural and industrial productivity drops, reducing income and jobs. Governments spend more on importing food and water infrastructure, and tourism and energy sectors also suffer. The fourth effect of water scarcity is the environmental impact. Rivers, lakes, and wetlands dry up, harming wildlife habitats. Soil degradation and desertification increase, and loss of aquatic biodiversity due to lower water levels and pollution concentration. The fifth effect is social and political effects. Conflicts may arise between communities or countries over shared water sources. Migration from drought affected areas increase, environmental refugees, and inequality worsens as poorer communities struggle to access more water. Local severity of water scarcity in Berks County. Causes and contributing factors in Berks County. The county had a 6-month dry period, especially from September to October of 2024, with little rainfall, which is one trigger for the drought warning. Groundwater recovery is slower in some geology types. Even with surface water looking normal, the groundwater wells may still be depleted from earlier deficits. Water supply systems rely on sources that may be impacted by low streams or reduced flows, forcing suppliers to ask for conservation. Local impacts on Berks County. Residential water supply stress. The mandatory conservation order in certain townships shows that local supply systems can become constrained. Drought reduces soil moisture, which hampers crop growth. The dry conditions in Berks County raise wildfire risks. Long-term resource reliability concerns. Upgrades to water systems are being made to strengthen the system's reliance. Local severity of water scarcity in Berks County continued. Responses and conservation measures. Residents in drought watch or warning status are asked to voluntarily reduce water use by 5 to 10%. They're also asked to follow common advice like fixing leaks, using appliances to their full loads, watering gardens in the evening, avoiding watering when hot or windy, and setting lawn blades higher to retain moisture. There is also an infrastructure investment. The $41 million upgrade to Western Berks Water Authority aims to improve reliability, treatment capacity, and system resilience. Why this matters locally. Even though Berks County is not in the most extreme drought stage, the local supply risks mean that even moderate drought conditions constrain systems. And because Berks has both public water supplies and many private wells, groundwater declines affect homeowners too.
Local water conditions and impacts. The DEP classifies Burke County at a warning level drought, although through the U.S. Drought Monitor it shows that we are not in a drought. Local authorities track Lake Ontaluny and wells more closely than federal indicators. RAWA asks residents to voluntarily reduce water use by 10 to 15%, and voluntary restrictions cost the RAWA $250,000 a month. The peak summer use can strain local supply even when federal indicators show normal conditions. Local water supply and conservation. Some water sources include Lake Ontaluny, Schuylkill River, and the groundwater wells. Authorities have upgraded infrastructure to handle seasonal and drought pressures. Population growth and industrial activities create spikes in water demands. Public campaigns encourage residents to fix leaks and limit non-essential water use, and some recommendations include reducing lawn watering, car washing, and pool filling to maintain supply stability.
Water scarcity is already severe. Between 2 to 3 billion people experience shortages for part of the year, and 1.1 billion lack safe drinking water. By 2025, up to 2/3 of humanity could face water stress. The problem is compounded by the fact that only 3% of Earth's water is fresh, making most unusable. Sanitation is another major issue. About 26% of the global population, which is about 3.6 billion people, lack safely managed sanitation, and 2.4 billion don't have proper toilets or waste disposal. Ecosystems are also collapsing. Half of the world's wetlands are gone, and pollution from plastics and chemicals makes water quality worse. Urban areas are under growing pressure. The number of people in cities facing water scarcity could double from 930 million in 2016 to as many as 2.4 billion by 2050.
Water scarcity globally. Water scarcity is widespread and multidimensional. Multidimensional means that the water shortage is caused by more than one problem. For example, having enough water, having poor quality water, or insufficient soil moisture for crops. The scale of water scarcity globally. 22 to 26% of global land area and about 58 to 64% of the global population are exposed to some form of water scarcity annually. 80% of the world's population has experienced at least 1 month of water scarcity each year. 10% of the global population faces multidimensional water scarcity at least once a month every year. Water scarcity in urban areas globally. 933 million urban residents face water scarcity. In 2050, numbers are expected to rise to 1.7 to 2.4 billion people. 193 large cities are also affected. And in 2050, the number of cities are expected to rise to 284.
Next, we're going to talk about some solutions. So first, let's talk about the better water management, like upgrade the irrigation and water systems to improve efficiency in agricultural, industry, and cities. Track water use with data to identify waste and improve conservation. Ensure fair water distribution for all communities. Use integrated water management to balance the needs of people, nature, and the economy. And lastly, repair municipal water infrastructures to reduce water loss. Next, we're going to talk about protecting and restoring rivers, lakes, and the wetlands. So, restore rivers, lakes, and wetlands to naturally filter and store the water. Reduce pollution from agriculture, sewage, and industry to maintain your water quality. Rebuild the wetlands and natural basins to manage floods and provide water during dry periods. And protect key water sources and habitats, and restore wetlands, aquifers, and forests. Next, we're going to talk about engagement and global action. So, engagement is involve local communities in business and water conservation and monitoring programs, encourage sustainable farming such as efficient irrigation, rainwater harvesting, and crop diversification, raise awareness about daily water use and conservation habits, partners with companies to reduce their water footprint, promote plant-based diets and sustainable food production. And for global action, it's important to strengthen international partnerships to manage shared water resources, support government incentives to prevent overuse and promote conservation, promote fair and sustainable fresh water use worldwide, integrate water management into climate and energy policies. Next, we're going to talk about some sustainable solutions like using smart irrigation, wastewater recycling, and seawater purification to reduce water waste. Create policies balancing environmental protections and economic growth. Support research in water efficient systems and ecosystem restoration. Restore wetlands and practice sustainable farming. Using alternative water sources like treated water, wastewater, and rainwater. And lastly, monitoring water quality and usage with digital tools.